Welcome to CRM Audio, the Dynamics365 podcast with Business Solutions MVPs George Doubinski, Joel Lindstrom, and Shawn the CRM Hobbit Tabor. This episode of CRM Audio is sponsored by Alexa CRM. WordPress powers more than 25% of all the websites on the internet and is the number one choice for blogs, websites, and portals because it's open source, simple to use, reliable, and extendable. Dynamics CRM has become a de facto standard in sales, marketing, customer service, and industry solutions. Now they can work together thanks to the Dynamics CRM WordPress plugin built with love by the Alexa CRM team. Capture forms, engage your users and customers, all without writing any code. Control your site in WordPress, keeping your data in CRM. To build the plugin, Alexa CRM has created an open source Dynamics CRM PHP toolkit, unlocking the world of Dynamics for PHP developers. Download your 30-day trial from alexacrm.com/plugin and instantly create a portal by connecting your CRM and WordPress site. We thank Alexa CRM for their sponsorship of CRM Audio.
So, this is going to be interesting, George.
Yes, it will be.
There.
You have any rumors about Joel that we can share whilst he is not around?
Well, there's many out there in the interwebs. Many dark places on the internet know fondly the name of Joel Lindstrom, but I like to think that he's off in Vegas gambling his children's college fund. That's what I'd like to put out there.
Yeah. No, I was thinking more in line of maybe you have his private passwords or something like this we can share with.
Oh yeah. We'll put that in the bumper. We'll get his social, his logon credentials for all his apps. Sure, we'll get that done. That done.
Okay.
Yeah, this is episode 37 of the CRM Audio podcast, and we are without Joel. So this is either going to be the finest episode our listeners have ever heard, or a rudderless ship that meanders everywhere. One of those two.
Yeah. If I have to make a bet, I would, and I wasn't involved, then I would tend to go with the second one.
Well, and you know what's going to happen, though? We're going to send the files to Joel. Joel still has to edit it.
Oh.
So
damn.
So we're still at his mercy in terms of him making us sound good. So he has first right of retribution, I guess. So.
Yeah, and I guess.
But you know what tomorrow is as of our recording.
You mean today?
Well, today is Halloween. But
no,
tomorrow...
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday? Today is... Okay, I'm all confused now.
No,
right,
you're confused because I'm in tomorrow. I know what's going to happen.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, right now I'm in California, and of course you're in Australia. So yes, you are in tomorrow. So my tomorrow, your today is launch of Dynamics 365. Big deal for the CRM Audio podcast.
Absolutely. Whilst we're talking, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fire up. So let me see. That's 5 p.m. in Seattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So APAC was supposed to be one of the first regions to light up. So let me see if I can provision something in the APAC region. So
this is exciting. Live
365
potential.
trial. Anyway, it's just you keep talking. I'll let you know what's the outcome.
All right, that's very exciting. So we're going to talk a lot about Dynamics 365 today. We're going to talk about a number of things in terms of what is 365 in case you've been hiding under a rock. We're going to talk about, what does it mean if I have an enterprise license now? Do I still have an enterprise license going forward? We're going to cover some other things.
Easy news for you. I don't know if it works for you, but the one thing is When I go to provision a trial, it takes me to portal.office.com. But the one thing is important in this URL is that one of the parameters in the query string is the plan, and the plan is now DIN365 Enterprise Plan 1. So we are officially on. So let me see if I can provision it. So
that's exciting. So Plan 1, what Plan 1 means is that is the plan that is historically the CRM path, right? So Plan 1 would include sales, service, field service, customer service, and project service. Plan 2 would include what was formerly AX and now operations. So that's how you distinguish Plan 1 versus Plan 2. Typically, everything that what I've seen is if you have an enterprise license currently on CRM Online, you're going to go to Plan 1 because that has all the apps, right? If you're on Professional, which means it's a lighter version of your licensing, then you have the ability to pick if you still need sales and customer service. You can pick both of them or go to Plan 1, or you can, if you don't need customer service, you can just pick sales. But now, Essential,
I think we did talk about it. We're back in the land of CRM 1.2, where you paid separately for sales and customer service and things like that.
And we're not going to talk about pricing because if for your pricing, you talk to your partner, get that information. But
and apparently we've been disseminating some misinformation according to some of the listeners.
Some have said, who knows? I tend to think not, but everybody has an opinion. But yeah, so you're looking at individual licenses for sales, customer service, field service, project service. But you can get all of those under Plan 1 if you get a Plan 1 plan.
Now, that's clear-cut when you've got Professional. What if you are on Basic or Essential?
So Basic would still break out into sales and customer service. So if you deal with leads, you're going to go with sales. If you deal with leads and cases, you're going to go to customer services. So additionally, you can also go to the Plan 1. Essential, though, is a different license called Team Members. So that gives you the same kind of functionality on as Essential did, but it's just named Team Members now. And that's the same for employee self-service as well. Those all roll up to an application level Team Members.
Okay, and how the one of the challenges with the Basic and Essential was that it was virtually impossible to figure out what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, or what your license rather entitles you to do. Can you create an opportunity? Can you update an opportunity? Can you assign an opportunity? And things like that. That was really, really confusing. So my understanding is that right now we pretty much in the same boat. If I say I get customer service module, then restrictions on that module will be, what is it, fuzzy, or is it enforced, or do we get special roles? Because what we end up doing, we crafted a role which is, we think, is compliant with, say, Essential license. Right? So do you know if we're gonna get any assistance in this regards? Like, try to figure out if your XRM solution breaks the boundaries of customer service.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything to that. I haven't seen anything to that degree. Just that it looks like, from everything I've seen, the Team Member Dynamics 365 license has the same effect as a Basic or an Essential. It just depends on what you currently have. So if you're in basic or essential, it looks like the path for you is team member for those licenses. If you have a basic license, but you need field service or project service or some kind of add-on, then you may look at one of the plans, plan 1, because typically what it looks like is if you need more than one app, then plan 1 is the better choice.
So
than trying to go individual.
Can I mix plans and separate apps? Like if I have, let's say, 30 users on professional and say additional 40 users on basic, and let's assume it falls nicely into those buckets. Professionals would go to E1, and I assume that I can mix it with the just, let's say, customer service for those 40 users.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so if the basic users only need one app, then yes, you could get just an application license for them. And then the professional, you could either go to a plan if you need more than one app. Yeah.
Okay.
But essential or employee self-service or some levels of basic would go to a team member license.
Yeah,
but everything it looks like is if you have more than 2 apps, then a plan would probably be a better move for your users. But yes, it looks like what I'm able to see is if you have that mixed bag, like you just mentioned, a mix of professional and mix of basic, you can have app licenses for some and plans for the others. Absolutely.
Okay, my organization is being provisioned.
So is it 365 look like?
Yeah, it's all the way 365 all the way. New experience. Really nice job. Really nice.
This is breaking news. This is what's happening right now.
Getting everything ready has some very neat and cute animation. I assume it's HTML5 all the way. So.
Sure.
But
fancy.
No, it's been provisioned. I said all of the above. So the choices are pretty much the same. So you have a choice when you provision a trial. You have a choice of don't do anything. I know what I'm doing. And then you have a choice of sales, customer service, field services, and project service automation, and all of the above. So I picked all of the above because historically it's been the fastest one to provision.
Right.
Now, word of caution that, again, I'm talking about previous experiences. So in Dynamics 365, it could be different. When you provision all of the above, it's really difficult to unwind it. So people had all sort of problems. You provision all of the above, and then you say, oh, I really don't feel like doing PSA. Let's remove project services. And people had all sort of issues removing it. The reason is for provisioning to be quick, those organizations are pre-baked effectively.
Right.
You know, it's like a warm-up meal, so you're just warming it up in microwave, so you don't chop anything and you don't slice anything. You just put it into microwave, preheat, done. So it provisions really, really quickly. But the downside is that there could be some dependencies in the provision version that it's really difficult to unwind. So if I have any, even a glimpse of hope that this trial might be converted to an actual subscription, I never provision all of the above. I always go for the naked CRM organization and then add things as I go. That could be different in 365. So I really don't know. I'm still looking at this cute animation. So.
And it'll be interesting to see how those solutions were built, because some of those trial versions are just automatically put in there, and that's really where I've seen a lot of the difficulty in trying to back those out, because you have a core solution and then you have a trial solution.
And then you have data on top of that. So
right.
that usually
Very difficult to pull that out.
Yeah, yeah. So
But it'll be interesting to see if it's a little easier in the a la carte 365 model. But did it give you any option for operations?
No, no. It it did not. Hold on, but then again, I was provisioning. What was I provisioning? I went for the trial, and the page says, "Try Microsoft Dynamics." It's still CRM Online. Self-start trial. So it adds CRM to existence. So there will be, I assume for a few months there will be kind of mix and match between Dynamics CRM Online and Dynamics 365 for customer service, because that's the name,
right.
or Dynamics 365 for field service, because that's
right.
the new name, right? So there will be mix and match between all of these. Important thing from my perspective is that the name may go away. For those of you customizers or developers and being concerned that it's all brand new world, CRM is not going away as
right.
in the essence, the underlying CRM is not going anywhere for foreseeable future, I assume. So that's I think that's important. So whatever you've been doing, whatever experiences you've been collecting, accumulating, you're good to go. So it's still CRM. There is no, suddenly common data model all over the place.
Right.
Common data model, it sits separately, separate storage. I don't know how they communicate, but you would engage stuff like, flow to pull data between the systems. So,
have you played with Flow lately?
You know what? As a developer, I tend to sit more in Logic Apps camp.
Okay.
To me,
Okay.
Flow is kind of more power user experience.
Right. I played a little bit with it over the weekend, and I was able to get. I mean, it was very simplistic, very, very simplistic. I was able to get an email sent to me whenever an account was updated, and it took me like 10 minutes, which I thought was pretty neat. And you're able to map fields and the email template, and it was kind of neat how, and it was one of those pre-made connections that Flow has, CRM Online to email. So
And
that was
how-
pretty neat.
Yeah, and how you would rate it against the CRM experience with the workflow? I can fire up workflow and do the same in about 5 minutes. So
I would say if you're not a CRM proficient person, the experience of Flow was very simplistic, and it was very easy to move through. It was it was more graphical, and I was working off of the pre-made Flow template between CRM Online and email, right?
well,
so
anything
if I
beats
was
the workflow editor, that's for sure.
right. So yeah, exactly. So if I would imagine if I was starting from scratch and starting a new flow, and picking my from data, I did that as well, and that was a little more. I didn't have the time at that point to really sit down and focus, so that took a little more effort. But using the pre-made flows that they have from a number of different sources, from CRM to a number of things, like you could push tasks from Trello to CRM. You could push information from Facebook to a spreadsheet, things of that nature. So using those flow templates, if you will, were very easy to do but they were limited in scope.
Hold on. So you created a flow that triggers an email when account is created, right?
When it was updated. But I could have done it when it was created. I could have done it when it was created too.
I wonder how does it hook it up to CRM?
It starts out that it's a known. It's going to know it's from CRM to email. So when you sign in to Flow, you sign in with your same on Microsoft.
No. I understand this part.
Okay.
What I'm interested in is that how CRM is triggering Flow.
Okay. So you had to put in criteria, right? So when I was saying when it's owned by me and something changes, and it was just when an account is changed and owned by me, then send me an email.
So,
and then I tried doing it to where I was trying to do a kind of a look at the owner and then go to the user account and get the email and send it to that, and that I couldn't get to work, but I'm sure that was my error than Flow's.
But what I mean is that the solution is the Flow would be polling CRM or asking CRM for any changes.
Yeah, the Flow, when you go to the Flow, when you create it and save it, you can then look at it, and it pulled CRM every 5 minutes.
Okay, so it does it for changes. Well, that's where kind of logic apps would do it differently, because you would create perhaps a pipeline from CRM. You publish to service bus, and then you would trigger. Service bus would trigger your Flow, so it will be like update initiated, very similar to what you would do with the built-in workflow. So it's triggered, it's not polling, so you're not looking for changes. The changes will come to you. So I assume that's one of the critical differences.
Right.
Because as your CRM grows, polling may become a very expensive operation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is something for admins to watch out for, I would assume. If people start creating flows that start, pulling CRM data left and right indiscriminately, then that's not going to be a very friendly CRM experience for interactive users.
Well, and also if you're starting a flow from a file, and you're pushing data or you're pulling data into that file, you can get the same experience. So yeah, I agree. And again, I was using the flow template, so I haven't looked into, and I want to, because it seems so intuitive, how you can build those flows, maybe a little more complex flows, and how it can provide a little more functionality. And it really was. It was really interesting how simple it was. So I think there's a lot.
Yeah, that would be the key, and how simple things are, like Power Apps. I mean, technically, I can argue that there is nothing you can build in Power Apps I can't build with the, say, Xamarin.
Right.
It will be better and faster and more portable and and shinier. But usual experience is that it will take 75 times longer for me to do anything, and the project will be abandoned because the key developer left, and
Probably so. Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever is released will look ugly, like Nokia phone from 1995. Just it's gonna be horrible. So, but I always said that to me, Power Apps and Flow sort of sits in the same category. It's new Microsoft Access. It's a tool, quite powerful, that power users will pick up, run away with it, create a bunch of tiny nonsense applications that make sense to them, create, nightmare for admins to manage, but in the end of the day, they will do the job.
Mm-hmm.
As far as those users are concerned, which is interesting concept, and I've been pushing this all along. One of the latest posts on Tip of the Day was that learn how to scope your workflow, and by scoping workflow to something like user, you can empower your users to create their own private personal workflows that help them to do their job their way.
Right.
If I've got users who say, "Oh, don't send me any emails. I go to CRM, 27 times a day," and then I have users who say, "Look, I can't be stuffed to log on to CRM. Would you please send me an email when lead is created?" But sure, right? And that way they can do it themselves and have their own private emails sent to them when data changes every time.
Yep.
Whatever.
So what are you thinking about the additional new extensibility options that we have now that with 365, like the visual process designer, the editable grids, that kind of thing? From a developer perspective, does that get you excited? Does it kind of that's nice, but
well, the designer, I don't believe it's in yet. It will be coming.
yes.
The editable grids, yeah, definitely. That's one of those features we've been asking for ages and ages and ages.
Mm-hmm.
I feel for vendors,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things, but as a vendor, you have to always develop something with the fallback. You have to plan, as ISV, you have to plan for Microsoft eventually coming in or barging in and taking it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all those handful of ISVs that have been doing editable grids for years, I would say, they're in a tough spot right now because I would say, don't quote me on that, but let's say 70-80% of their business are scenarios covered really well by the new editable grids that come in this release, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the selling features of editable grid is that it's supported on the mobile. That's a killer feature.
Yes, absolutely.
So that immediately marginalizes all the vendors. There are still some good scenarios that I think the editable grid Microsoft One won't handle well. But as I said, 80%, effectively, if you're ISV, you just lost 80% of your business overnight. But I guess that's the nature of the ISV business. You have to watch out for Microsoft encroaching in your space, but you also have to watch out for other people coming in and just basically doing what you're doing at a fraction of the price and 5 times better features. So,
Right.
Life of ISV,
Well,
I suppose.
It will grid on the opportunity.
Absolutely. To me, the tables are a bit turned. It's not like you lightening up on the grid controls based on the permissions and so forth. What's important is that grid actually honors the field permissions and the business rules.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of it's just another visual representation that honors all the stuff you've done before with business rules or field level security.
Right. So and it really seems, just from the blogosphere and the community, editable grids really seems to be the big shining beacon for this release, more so than the embedded Power BI, more so than relationship insights. I don't know what your thoughts are, but everything I've been seeing
It's
has
a
been
quick
about
win.
editable grids.
So
yeah.
It's a very quick win. Quick win for people who sell CRM, because now light up very quickly some scenarios that previously require developers or third-party controls. And in effect, this is interesting that to deliver a powerful solution. This is going back to the pricing discussion and notion that the prices go up and so forth. And they might as well, for the business that has 30 users on professional license in CRM Online, the price might go up, subscription price. But that's not the only component of your of actual pricing for the business, right? You have to take into account for business of that size. So once you're into tens of users, you have to think about that. Just quick and dirty no longer works. So you have to plan, you have to develop, you have to customize, you probably have to purchase controls. So there will be subscription associated with the third-party controls, with the third-party solutions. There will be developers' costs associated with deploying and maintaining those solutions. So once that all taken into account, I'm not sure that price actually will go up. My bet that it probably will go down.
Right.
The effect of the gross cost, the cost of the CRM solution, not just the license cost, but the cost of CRM solution to the business will probably go down with all the new features that's being delivered.
Yeah, when you take into account that maintenance cost, especially if you have to further customize that third-party grid rather than what the vendor provided out of the box. I mean, that even adds more to it. So.
That's what I'm saying. It's all piles up, and people kind of look at the licensing and comparing really, oranges and orange juice. So cost of how can you charge $5 for the gallon of orange juice?
Right.
If whatever 10 pounds of oranges cost me $2.
Yep.
So you have to juice it, you have to pack it, you have to deliver it. So.
Well, and and something else to that same kind of line is what they've done with relationship insights as well. And I think this was if you look at the full use of relationship insights, right? Everything, including the email tracking. It's really one of the first. Well, maybe it's not one of the first, but to me, it's one of the biggest Dynamics and Office 365 plays that outside of when we had documents from SharePoint, right? That was probably the first. But this is one of the biggest that I've seen where it makes you not only think about, I need to upgrade to Dynamics 365, but I also have to look at my Exchange environment. Maybe I need to go online with Exchange now to really get all the bang for the buck with my online licensing. Because now, with the server-side sync, it's even doing more than it did in the past with Exchange 2016 lit up. You're getting all of that inline emails. You can track right from the social pane, where before you either had to have the Outlook add-in or folder tracking or something to that effect, right? And simple things like last activity, next scheduled activity that normally you had to create a field for and maybe write some script for to pull that in, or a business rule, what have you. Now is just there and it automatically lights up. Things like relationship health, where you can configure to a degree how you score that relationship health. The email tracking, where it's looking at when something was sent, when it was read, when it was opened, when it was forwarded, following attachments. There's just so much in that one set of features and functionality that's really, really powerful for the formerly CRM user. That's, to me, that's a really exciting feature. And for partners, I mean, it's a great way to make an incredibly awesome demo right out of the box without having to really manipulate anything.
So do you think, so that's the battle, because now all the sales people, right, they have all these powerful tools to follow up and, to engage and so forth. So do you see it as a battle between relationship insights and Outlook rules that put those emails into spam on the receiving end? Because if my inbound volume of emails will increase, then I have to combat it with Outlook inbound rules.
Well, but when we're looking at that, when we're looking at the emails in that social pane, before you track it, is it in CRM, or is it just being displayed as part of that integration?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean,
no, I meant on receiving
until you
end,
track
the
it.
customer on lead and prospect end.
Oh well, yeah. No, you're right. I get you now. Yeah, it's understood. But
the
yeah.
one thing I can tell you, my trial keeps provisioning. One thing I can tell you right now that wasn't there before when you provision CRM trial, my social engagement is now accessible. CRM is still provisioning, but social engagement up and running.
From the licensing that I've seen, social engagement is now part of that plan.
Correct.
So plan 1, it's lit up right away, which is
so effectively
great.
You have to look, well, Dynamics marketing aside, which is kind of
we can talk about that in
anyway,
a minute. Yeah.
That's the enterprise plan. Right? Remember that there was professional and there was enterprise, which would give you everything.
Right.
And one of the key components of this everything was social engagement.
Right.
And now it's there. So.
Yep.
So here you go.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
It's very cool.
And
it's blank, but it's up and running, so I have access to it, which is really, really cool.
And I have to say, as cool as the email tracking is, some of the preview functions that we've seen in various, we saw it at CRM Summit, we saw it in various Ignite. It was a number of places, but some of the scenarios that they ran through, while incredibly powerful and giving a lot of great information, I found one scenario that they went through kind of Orwellian, right? There's a scenario where you send an email to a client, and there's a timeline now. When you open the email, you can see a timeline of what's happening with the email. And it lights up as they're doing it because, again, it's hooked to Exchange, and you're getting that data, as soon as it's coming in. So you see that they read it. Then you could see that they forwarded it. Then you could see that then that email that was forwarded was opened on an iPhone 6, and it has location services. So you can then pull up a map and see where they are. That to me seemed a little Orwellian.
Good old pixel tracking.
Yeah.
It's just...
So I mean, it's like, oh, they opened it on an iPhone. So I know, there's powerful information because at that point you could say, all right, I'm going to call them, but I know they're on their iPhone, so I'm going to call their cell phone. Of course, you got to look at contact preferences and make sure they want to be called on their cell phone. But all things being equal, that gives you information to make a call that's going to probably be answered without having to go through the gatekeeper at the office. That's powerful information, if you leverage it. It's but when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, what if I was like, hey, I just so have you gotten a chance to take a look at that proposal I sent you? No, I haven't. Yeah, you have. You just opened it. I'm across the street.
Okay, bye. Wrong number, bye.
You know what I mean?
I can see you doing it.
Yeah. Don't lie to me. I see your iPhone 6.
Why are you lying to me? Oh,
yeah.
It's like, never mind.
But powerful functionality, though.
Indeed. Yeah, what we were going to talk about the developer stuff. That's actually
Yes.
very exciting. Very
Yes.
exciting. Would you like to go and take a cup of coffee whilst I'm talking about this stuff
You
that
dive
we?
right in, my friend, because even I agree that it's cool stuff. So
Okay, let me just walk through the features very quickly. Some of them important, some of them not important, but generally speaking, yeah, finally, it's like Rubik cube. All you
hmm
see is like rotating, colorful squares, and then boom, suddenly at one point with the last move, it all coming together. So that's kind of feels like it. So I can see it like 2 turns away in the Rubik cube, and the picture will be complete. It's not 100% there, but it's important release. So to me, as developer, as ISV, couple things stand out. Um, First of all, um, if you write a service, if you write an application like mobile application or Windows application, then authentication, username, password, OAuth works. Remember that OAuth is a new way to
hmm
authenticate, and that's the way Web API works, and so on, so
Yep.
on. So username, password always been there, but the trick with OAuth and username, password that it requires user, because your application never receives a username or password as such. It receives a token, right, after user
hmm
goes through authentication process. And it all works well because you can say, well, stuff is protected, application, nothing to see here, move along. The problem is the scenarios where there is no user. We're talking about server-side scenarios
hmm
or unattended execution and things like that. So solution until now being that you have to use username and password, right? And your only choice is organizational service, that is API that is being deprecated. So, and it still was the only choice. Now, in fall release, we finally get in server-to-server authentication. It's kind of very similar to those of you who've been accessing, say, Azure resources, probably familiar with. You get this, secret, uh, big fat secret string that you can plonk in, and suddenly you can access the servers. Um, you can access the service from your application that runs on the server side, for example, a website. So that's one of the scenarios that was out of reach for Web API, is running a website that talks to CRM on the back end. That is uh, kind of portal scenario, but without using Microsoft portals. You just website that pulls out, say, price list out of CRM. Um, so now they have client credentials flow. My assumption, my understanding of all the terminology is not very good, but my understanding is it's what otherwise known on behalf of. So when a server-side application runs on behalf of the client. So effectively, you will be able to set up connection using secret, this big fat secret, or certificates. So if you're talking HTTPS, known quantity to known quantity, you can set up, exchange certificates, and be done and set up, and it's bulletproof. So it's really, really nice. It does provide support for third-party solutions. Until then, if you're not getting that, well, your option is to get authentication token and do a big no-no, cache this authentication token, and then keep renewing it using the renewal token. It works, but this new scenario definitely the way to go. And one of the important differences is that it will not require a user license. So the service-to-server authentication will not require user license. Though in CRM Online, you can say I can use one of the 5 service accounts, so non-interactive user accounts that don't require license. But this is official, like once you connect using secret, you won't need a license at all. So that's very, very exciting.
That's a pretty big deal. Yeah, that's a
It
big
is a
deal.
big deal now. The one caveat, though, this is Azure Active Directory. So CRM Online we're talking about, or Dynamics 365 we're talking about. Now, common premises, the word is that there are differences between Active Directory implementation in Azure and in Windows Server. So due to these differences, it's not like they don't want to. It's a goal to provide server-to-server authentication for on-premises as well, but it does depend. So in some cases it could be out of hands of CRM team. No matter how CRM team wants it to happen, it's just not going to happen, or may not happen, for reasons outside of their control. So come fall release, or what release you guys will see tomorrow, and I'm trying to get my version now. Yeah, it's CRM Online or Dynamics 365. Is it like Dynamics 365 Online? What's on premises? Dynamics 365 on premises? What's the official word?
Yeah, it's Dynamics 365 on-prem. It's
Okay.
both.
Okay, cool. So Dynamics 365 Online will get server-to-server authentication. That's cool. Next one is Web API improvements. Finally, we get in global discovery API. So if I want to talk to CRM Online, I need to know, I can use Discovery Service, but I need to know which region I'm in. If I don't know the region, I can scan all of them, which obviously takes time. Now, there will be a global point, one global discovery API that you can talk to and discover all your instances. The one thing, it will discover what's called commercial instances. So if your instance is on cloud, like government cloud or private cloud with Microsoft, then it won't discover those. There are some enhancements, querying metadata, so some developers will get excited because you finally can use logical names similar to what we use in SOAP. So you can query metadata using logical names. So you can say, give me relationship, account underscore primary contact, or whatever the relationship name is, but by name, which is really, really good. Web resources are now supported in offline mode. The one thing that is really, really interesting, okay, skip that. One thing that is really interesting, now we have updates with the representation support. It sounds like a very political thing, but it is not. So effectively, when you're doing an update, when you post to the endpoint, let's say API data context, what you can do, you can set up a header which you say return equal representation. What it will do, will create a record or update the record, but then it will immediately return the full record back. So if you've got workflows or business rules that potentially change the underlying data, that's your way to get the full record back immediately. So it saves you the round trip, and it generally performs much, much faster. If you do an update or create, get ID back, then using this ID, you get the entity back. So this is really, it's like the same line as upsert support and things like that. Now, the big one, which API to use, right? So the web API is definitely the one to move forward. It's with the server-to-server authentication support, the gap definitely is shrinking between web API. The disparity between web API and SOAP is rapidly diminishing, and hopefully that come next release we'll have 100% coverage. So that's the objective. But the idea is that organization endpoint or organization.svc endpoint is being deprecated. So web API to move forward. Whenever you do new development, use web API. So there is no reason, particularly with new release, not to. So there's plenty of libraries and wrappers available. It's cross-platform. It works with iOS, Java, JavaScript. It's really easy. Now, the one way potential for the existing customers to migrate is start moving your code to the API provided by XRM Tooling Connector. That is part of SDK. The reason is that Tooling Connector is currently using organizational service, but it will replace the use of organizational service with Web API. I wouldn't say it's going to happen transparently, but that's the intent, and it will definitely make life easier. So the advice is, coming directly from CRM team, is that start using XRM Tooling Connector, because it will make migration much easier. And the final bit of the update is the tooling update. So as developers, we need tools. So solution packager have been updated to include new solution component types for the fall. Localization is properly supported for sitemaps and solution information and so forth. Oh, plugin registration tool. It's actually been updated without any fuss in 8.1. So what happened is ACS connections for those of you using Service Bus or thinking about using Service Bus, and if you've been put off by the complexity of the setting up the connection to Service Bus using ACS and all sort of stuff, that's gone. So now it's SAS connection. It just copy paste connect string, walk through the wizard, paste, done. And it also added Events Hub support. So I'm working in fact on some cool demos that include Event Hub support. Hopefully we'll be able to show something next month at Extreme.
Cool.
And for those of you who haven't registered for Extreme yet, still available, so it will be.
Get on it.
Sorry?
You have to get on it. It's going to be in sunny Newport Beach.
Newport Beach, which is 1 hour from LA.
Exactly.
Oh, part of the LA.
Cool stuff.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and you're only about 10 minutes from the actual beach. I mean, it's a nice.
So not much work done.
No. Lots of fun to be had after session.
One of the interesting topics is configuration migration tool being enhanced, and in the area that I flagged, I think in the last episode or episode before, that PSA and field services, they use a set of common entities that I whinged about, that those entities are not available to us yet, like booking
bookable resources.
Yeah, all those. So configuration migration tool now has support for those specialized types.
Very cool.
So
that is a big deal. That's a big deal because if you were on field service before, there was this convoluted process to get that data in, and I went through that once, and it was not fun. So that's great to see.
Yeah. So basically, there's a simplified way to move stuff between deployments now. And CRM service util, that's kind of updated support for connection strings, better handling. I'm kind of, meh. The reason why I'm saying meh about updates to CRM service util, because there's so many community resources, including awesome add-on for, or plugin, whatever it's called, for XRM Toolbox that generates exactly what you need. Even now, without this update, so it's nice to see it's coming, but honestly, I'd rather see them spending resources elsewhere. Which brings that there are enhancements to tooling connector, better fault recovery logic, yada yada, capturing, login, tracing, report authoring add-in for Visual Studio updated and now supports Visual Studio from 2010 all the way up to 2015. And finally, Connect Control now supports multi-factor authentication, which is good for those people who moved and then to MFA and then regretted it because now their development became a nightmare. So, and the final bit, finally, we get in developer toolkit for Visual Studio. I don't know if it's on VS Gallery, but Beta 3 is going to be on Visual Studio Gallery at some point. I don't believe it's there yet. I haven't checked for
And it's been a while since Developer Toolkit's been updated.
Yeah,
Visual
well,
Studio.
hopefully it will get. I will get Visual Studio. Let me take a look. So that's it from the developer updates. So lots and lots of exciting stuff. So obviously authentication is a big one. The rest can be classified probably as incremental enhancements, but authentication is a big one because without it, we were going nowhere fast on the server side.
Right.
And even documentation was saying that if you're doing server side mamba jamba, don't use web API, continue to use awk service. Now that will go away with this release.
Yeah, there's just a ton of functionality and features both under the hood in the chassis to keep the car metaphor that we were using at CRM UG Summit. It's exciting. There's just a ton. I mean, even the developer stuff that I'm not a developer, there was enough stuff to where I understood some of the importance of this stuff. So that's a big deal to me, at least, I think.
Okay, I quickly got excited about finding Dynamics CRM Developer Toolkit on MSD and Visual Studio Gallery, and what I found is Jason Latimer developer extensions.
All right, so it's not out there yet, but it should be up soon.
No, hold on. Yeah, I might. XRM Toolkit extension. Another one, developer toolkit for visual. Oh, no. There is official one. Been updated on 12th of October.
There you go.
This is an update to Dynamics CRM 2013 developer toolkit that ships with... don't tell me. To get it working... Hold on. No, that's not the one. Because it's from Johan Kustner, modifying using reflector path. Damn.
Yeah. So I think the moral to the story is it'll be up soon, but it's coming. So that's,
yes, it will kind of. I wish that this is so fragmented space. I wish we were standardized. There are good commercial offerings. There are free version. My advice would be, I don't know, pick up one, stick with it. As you know, it's like frequent flyer programs. They're all the same. Just pick one and stick with it.
That's what I try to do for sure. But yeah, so we'll as soon as that comes out, we'll put that up on our website. So
yeah, definitely. That will be exciting. So there are a couple alternatives now. Official one will include some goodies, lots of goodies, in fact. Single project support and things like that. So yeah, lots and lots of good stuff for developers. So that's. Well,
how's your environment provisioning? Is it almost done?
Oh, let me check. That's not it. Organization status pending. You know what is interesting though? If I try to get to the CRM Admin Center, it switches to US, and then it becomes really weird because sales and customer service are available, but field service and PSA coming soon. And it's bizarre. Anyway, look, technically speaking, yeah, I'm trying things that are not supposed to be out yet.
Right. So it's lit up in your area. So it'll be here by the time everybody hears this. It'll probably have been out for a couple days. So, but that's okay. You heard it first.
Yeah, definitely. You heard it first.
You heard it first here.
It looks nice. The icons all colorful. big tiles on the screen. Much better experience than before. Much less confusing, and I did get social engagement as part of
Which
it,
is very cool.
which is
So
quite nice.
so now that that's there, we'll have to play with that a little bit more and get some more information out. But we'll follow up and we'll get some information on the crm.audio page, as well as I have a couple of blog posts going up on the updated CRM Hobbit blog. So those will be coming. Hopefully they'll be out by the time you hear this. So keep an eye out for that. And what other items you got for us, George? You want to talk about Dynamics 365 or anything else?
Not really. I mean, I want to talk about a lot of things, but not within the context. What we talked, not within the context of Dynamics 365 launch. I mean,
Right.
got so much stuff happening. This is really exciting. CRM ideas. If you get your hands on Dynamics 365, or when you get your hands on Dynamics 365, definitely keep those bugs coming. And I believe Connect is still the place to log bugs.
Yep. Right now. So let me ask you this, but I think this would be a great way to close out the pod. If you're let's say you're not on 2016, you're online or you're on-prem, but you're not on 2016. Okay, you could still be on 2015, or you could be on 2013 on-prem. You could whatever. When would you say move to Dynamics 365, either on-prem or in the cloud? What would be your how would you go about that process if you were the consultant being brought in to talk to them about it?
Okay, definitely depends on what functionality you have right now. Incidentally, the funny thing is that if you've got, let's say you've got some solution which is very simple, a few entities to extend, very little customization, and so forth. Move for you is kind of straightforward activity. You just upgrade, and that would be interesting scenario for people who were putting off their upgrades because they were saying that, technically speaking, upgrade gives us nothing because we use the simple solution. Apart from the, some enhancements in navigation and all this sort of stuff, technically we get nothing. So, because every time we wanted to do something like extend our functionality or make, data entry simpler, we were quoted bazillions of dollars because we needed these, editable grids and custom mobile control developments and all sort of stuff. So suddenly all those scenarios light up. They're saying, okay, you migrate. Technically, nothing changes, right? It's still the same experience for the end users. But then suddenly you can, at low cost, you can extend your CRM and make it user-friendlier. Now, the other sort of edge case is when you have a very complex systems and migration being put on the back burner for the reason of complexity. And something's not going to work. There's a lot of customizations, perhaps third-party solutions. That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one because, your project will be about deprecating components more than anything else. Right. How to migrate, how to replace. I would probably look at, for more complex projects, I would probably look at two alternatives. The one is this deprecating scenario where you review and you migrate, but you don't migrate everything, and you re-implement some of the bits and pieces. And you review your code and you look at web API migration and so forth, or migration to web API and so forth. The other scenario, always attractive, especially for the implementers, because it means it's a fresh project, fresh start, saying, let's review. Since 2013, it's been like what? It's soon going to be 4 years. Okay,
Right. Right.
that's a long time in business. In today's business, right? Probably
Absolutely.
processes changed. Probably, um, you know, your business changed, your model changed, your business model changed. Use it as an opportunity to review and say, hey, perhaps we can do better and cheaper if we start from scratch and migrate the data. Obviously, it doesn't work for all of them. It works
Right.
well in small to medium, the kind of area where I work in. Doesn't sit well with the enterprises. 4 years in the enterprise, that's like nothing. It's like yesterday. So,
Right.
oh, the one thing for sure, if you are on CRM Online on, let's say 8.0, and you haven't scheduled your update to 8.1, in 2 weeks' time, you won't be able to. Your only option will be 8.2, because so far, if you want to schedule the update, the only available, customer-driven updates when you schedule your
Right.
own update,
Right.
the
Yep.
only dates available are up to 14th of November for the primary, and the backup up to the end of the month or something like that. So comes 14th of November, you won't have any other option but to move to 8.2, which is Dynamics 365.
Hmm.
So it's kind of, if you're on 8.0, well, go straight to 8.2 because you've got 2 weeks and just not worth it. So just go straight in. On any other version, God, I would let it settle down a bit, probably
Would
for
you
a
wait to the
month.
first? Would you wait for the first service pack?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's so many goodies.
Yeah, there are.
So many juicy bits that,
Editable grids alone could get somebody to move just for that.
yeah, you can say, oh, stuff those, bugs, and yeah, I'm moving.
Yeah,
So
and I
there's
mean
certain,
we haven't even talked about the mobile enhancements. I
oh,
mean,
yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah,
you know
it's,
the contact cards and the ability to create reminders, all that. We haven't even talked about that, but yeah,
yeah, so all those goods, look, if on developer side with all the developers goodies, like editable grids or customizer, let's put developer experience aside.
hmm
So with all the customizer goodies like for mobile and editable grids and all sort of stuff,
hmm
plus business stuff like relationship insights, if that's not enough to, for you to say, hey, look, I'm just really gonna ignore or work my way through the bugs because this is so cool, this is so good,
right, right,
I need this now, I'm moving now, and nothing's gonna stop me. So I say that, yeah, definitely. Any bugs will be definitely outweighed by the goodness of um, Dynamics 365, whatever comes.
right. My basic saying is, I if you can get your sandbox upgraded so that you can do some retro testing, some regression testing, make sure to understand the impact on your customizations and code that you've done to this point. Plus any third-party or ISV solutions that you've installed, make sure those work. I wouldn't imagine there's that many that wouldn't at this point. But if if you if everything's working fine and you don't need to move, get that sandbox updated and and hold fast if you can. Now I know our friend Gus is screaming at the at his head at his iPhone right now, saying no, 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 you upgrade now, you upgrade now. And yes, I acknowledge that, Gus. Yes, but I'm always a little more cautious. Make sure, like you said, check out your code and customizations. Evaluate the goodies that are in here, and hopefully hopefully work with your partner. Look at your roadmap for what you're wanting to do, and make sure that the timing is good. I'm just a little more conservative, but there's so much cool stuff here that I could also be easily talked into. Just go, just upgrade, because it's some cool stuff.
Well,
Definitely.
hopefully Joel right now is busily, provisioning sandboxes and preparing for the explanation next time.
Yep.
Of his absence.
Yep. And because that's he has some justification to make here. He's normally the one leading the ship, and well, we had to pick it up because the show must go on even without Joel.
Okay.
And
well,
his
on that
large
note.
Yes, on that note, it's been a good one, and happy launch day to everyone. Hopefully, you're having a great time provisioning your trials and upgrading your environments. And keep an eye out on our Twitter feed at CRM Audio.
And we have not even mentioned portals, which will be coming.
Well, we're going to have you and I are going to be at MVP Summit next week, and we're going to get some we're going to get some audio there with our fellow MVPs, and we'll talk more about all this other cool stuff. So that's coming. So we didn't catch everything to talk about with Dynamics 365 because there's so much.
Absolutely.
But trust me when I tell you, next episode we'll get a lot more. And oddly enough, we'll be without Joel again. So how weird is that? Maybe we'll have to call him. You think?
Okay.
We should probably include him. But on that note, again, happy launch day. Hope everybody enjoys the new features and functions in Dynamics 365. And follow us on Twitter at CRM Audio. Follow George at George Dude. Follow Joel at Joel Lindstrom. And follow me at CRM Hobbit for all the CRM goodness that you can get out of our little brains. So,
excellent.
This has been CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast. You can hear previous episodes on our website, crm.audio. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, follow us on Twitter at CRM Audio, or leave us a comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/CRM podcast. If you have any topic suggestions or questions that you would like for us to answer on a future episode, please drop us an email at voice@crm.audio. Special thanks to Dale Simmons for our theme music. Go check out his website, dalesimmons.com. Please join us next time on CRM Audio.